Welcome back to Bachelor Buzz, the best place to come for recaps on your favorite reality TV dating show and the latest in Bachelor Nation news. We're your hosts, Arena.
And Julia, and today we are joined by the awesome team from Bracketology. We have Jonah and Kaitlynn over here. Welcome,
Hey
guys.
guys.
They are going to
Glad to
be
be
helping
here.
us. Yeah,
For
thank you.
having us.
They're going to be helping us with recapping the hometowns episode. But first, tell us about Bracketology. Tell us about yourselves.
Yeah, happy to. So you're looking at the full-time team here. It's me and Caitlin running the ship. You probably have
Amazing.
seen my face on Instagram doing terrible ranking pyramids of all of our favorite reality TV. But Caitlin and I have been working on bracketology for 3 years now. It started as
Wow.
her passion project just for The Bachelor, and we met. I was like, "Hey, have you thought about expanding this outside of the Bachelor franchise to become like the reality TV fantasy gaming home?" And she hadn't, and she was a stud in the Batch bracket days and continues to be. But since then,
That's so cool.
we've expanded into 26 other reality TV and award shows. We put out a mobile application that's had 150,000 downloads in our first year without spending
Wow.
any money on marketing. And we've been, as we say internally, on our way to the moon.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Congrats,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to chat, and I just finished the episode, so I have a lot of fresh thoughts.
Yes, awesome. I watched last night and I don't know, I've just been thinking about it all day. I feel like I have so many like thoughts about this. But yeah, thank you guys again for joining us. And I feel like I have more questions about bracketology, but maybe we can talk about that later when we talk about like our ranking and everything. So and our
Perfect.
predictions. But all right, should we start?
Yeah, let's get started. So, starting out with this episode, hometowns. Oh my goodness, we're already here and it's only week 6, which just feels so quick.
So quick.
I feel like, in addition to the fact that we didn't know a ton about Grant to begin with, so this season, so maybe that made it a little harder to kind of figure out who he would end up with or fall in love with. So here we are, though, and we have our top 4 is Juliana, we have Latia, Zoe, and of course Dina, who was a little shocker. So she was in there
Yes.
too, but love them. But yeah, it was a little different. But so we
Yeah, I
started.
have to say, I was like having Zoe there, I just felt like it was uncomfortable to me. I mean, I really like Zoe, but this was her first date with him.
Yeah.
I just couldn't
Weird.
stop thinking
I was
that.
shocked.
It was so, yeah. I mean, we will talk about her actual date, hometown. But yeah, I just couldn't stop thinking that in the beginning. I was like, wow, this is like really their first
Mhm.
one-on-one time together, you know?
And it
And they
felt
took
like it.
wedding pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why
I
it also
know.
felt like a game or something, like when they do those games like earlier in the season with the groups and it's like wedding related. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I know she models, which is awesome, but maybe do
Mhm.
a different type of shoot. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
it's literally New York too. Like you could do anything. There's no
Yeah.
reason it had to be wedding related.
Wedding.
It's like
Yeah.
psychological, like planting the seed in his brain that
I
we are
don't know.
further
I feel like
along.
I feel like that thing kind of freaks people out.
Yes.
Like even Parisa, like she made it way farther than I thought after her weird
Mhm.
AI
Totally.
presentation. Yeah. Like it's just kind of weird, I feel like, for boys. I feel like it's just I don't
Yeah.
know.
What do you
That's
think,
their
Jonah?
brain.
Would that have freaked you
Hey,
out?
Yeah.
me? Oh, 1,000%. But Grant is ready. So
He's ready.
totally
Yeah.
different. And Zoe's playing a good game. She's been stealing him at group dates, and there's got to be a method to the madness. She made it to final 3, so
Right.
props to her.
Yeah, that's
Unconventional, but respect.
yeah, I think we mentioned that last time where it's like, she hasn't had a one-on-one, but she's stolen him so many times that they have had moments from the beginning.
Mhm.
So she's always kind of been a front runner, even though she hasn't had that time with him. So it kind of made sense.
She's done it masterfully too, with like very little pushback from the other women.
Mhm.
Early on, maybe, but
Yeah.
she kind of like skated by after Carolina took the villain
Yes.
edit
Yes.
time hogger spotlight.
Totally. She's like, go ahead, Carolina.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
She's playing a good game. She's playing a good game.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, so first he goes to meet with Juliana,
Mhm.
the one that we think will probably steal his heart at the end. They go to Boston, and it's clear that she like knows the city. I mean, it's really Newton, right? That
Yeah.
was the city,
Right.
Correct.
Small
Newton.
town vibes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I mean, she's very Italian. That whole city seems very Italian. They got a
Little
painted
Italy.
fire hydrant as the flag. And they go to make a pizza. And who was that guy? Did we catch that? Was that like an uncle or something who had the pizza shop?
No, I think it
No,
was
just a
just a guy
friend.
that knows the family because she even said like she can't really, or and none of her family members can walk anywhere in Newton without someone being like, "Hey," and like knowing who
Yeah.
they are because it's such a small community. And like you were saying, Caitlin, just like a, small town type of vibe. So,
Yeah.
I think it was just he was just like, "Hey, I've known her since she was like 5." I don't know.
Yeah. So that was cute. I mean, he definitely felt like nervous. You could tell he was like butterflies with her, which I thought was cute. They made pizza, and they had a really good chat. And she talks about how she feels so safe with him. And it was just really sweet. I feel like they're cute. I really like them. I stand them.
So cute.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. And it's kind of interesting because her hometown, I think, was filmed last. And so it's kind of interesting because I did feel like Grant had very like anxious vibes, like, oh, it's first
Yeah.
hometown. But I always
Hmm.
think that's an interesting, like, which one they choose to air at what time and like how their body language is for that
Hmm.
episode.
Yeah.
But I love them. I think that they were just so cute together. And it seemed like a fun date that showcased the actual hometown, which I will
Yeah.
continue to complain about as we talk about all of the hometowns, because
Yes.
they did such a bad job for most of them of showcasing the
Yeah.
place that they are. But I felt like hers was
Totally.
like, hey, I'm from small town, Italy, family, like Italian family, Boston, and you really felt that for the whole date.
Yeah, I feel like she had the picturesque hometown date. You know, we saw the city, her own personal flavor, and then the family. I mean, that went well too. You know, we had all those sound bites last episode where it's like, oh no, her dad's gonna hate him, but he loved him.
Yeah, no, they were that dad conversation was so cute, and like the hug at the end was just precious. And I was a little shocked by how many people were in that backyard, like as he turned in, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. But he seemed to love it. So it's important to him. Like he said over and over how important the family thing is. So I think she did a great job of making that be like, look at all the people you'd have surrounding you.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was definitely like I thought it was like a really nice hometown, and I do see how much they really are into each other, and it makes sense. And so that's also why I feel like she's our number one. Um, Latia's right up there too, but for various reasons, and we'll get into that when we get to
Yeah.
her hometown. Not sure if she's the one at the end, but like there's still something for me, and it's nothing like against Grant or Juliana. There's still something that's kind of like, I don't want to say missing, maybe that's not the best way to put it, but I don't feel like 100% where I'm like, oh, yes, like deeply, like I feel like these two are like
Hmm.
it. And I think compared to everyone else, unfortunately, in this season, yeah. But like, I don't know, I just don't get that feeling. And I always kind of revert back to Joey's season because
Yeah.
that was our first season in Bachelor Buzz. And I was a fan of Joey from Charity season. So following him into his own season, I was just like, oh, yay, he's going to find love. And I just feel like with Kelsey in her hometown, I felt this like, I could like feel it from the screen. I could just feel how they were so connected and just deeply there with each other. And I don't quite feel it or see it with Juliana and Grant. I know that they like each other and I think they would date for sure. But sometimes I don't know. And if he ends up with her, they're amazing guys. Like if you're listening to this, Grant, Juliana, you guys are amazing. It's just I'm probably not
Don't
saying it
eat
because
your
they're not
words.
showing it to us. They're not showing us
Yeah.
everything. That's what I'll say. I feel like maybe we're just not seeing everything, so that's why. But I don't know. I just
Yeah. Do you think it's maybe like the deep like connection that you think is lacking? Like we're not seeing that
we're
so
not seeing.
much?
That's what I think. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
not seeing like the really deep connection. I feel they're connected. I know that they have things in common, obviously. They talked about last week with her talking about a family member who had addiction and obviously his father having addiction. And so I know that they connect in that way. And obviously they're attracted to each other and that the physical aspect is there, right? But I just kind of, there's just like something that I'm just not like fully, I'm just not seeing, I guess, because they're not showing it, this deep
Yeah.
connection. So more like not surface, but I don't
I
know.
personally, I just feel like it's going so fast. Like, how could he have that deep connection? Like, maybe if they had another date or two
I feel it
before
more
the
with Latia
hometowns.
though.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I
Yeah, I
just
do
not
feel
that
it
he
with
ends up with her, but
right.
Uh,
I do feel like him and Latia have gotten a lot more deep, but I also think it's
mm,
kind of just the personality. Like Latia is a very serious person. I feel like you can
yeah.
kind of tell the way she speaks is very like love is kindness. Like it's very big picture. It's very,
Yeah.
even and same with her family, honestly. Like I think that's just where she comes from. Whereas I sense much more of a like fun spirit in Juliana. And
Hmm.
so I'm hoping that maybe next week in Fantasy Suites they can just like be a little more chill and she has less
Yeah.
for I think she also is performing a little for the camera in terms of like she said she's like I'm naturally a bubbly person in front like when I'm trying to be in front of people and so I do think that she feels that need so I'm hoping that like when they can be in PJs and she can put her glasses on and they can lay in bed and chill and talk that they'll be able to maybe develop more of that kind of like deeper
yeah.
connection.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really good
Totally.
point. I think that is such a good point, and that is if it is her at the end, I feel like that is what's probably gonna put her over like Latia too. Just that the fantasy suites and having that time together.
Yeah. Man, I hope Zoe, I don't know. I just keep thinking now, Zoe, it's like,
So,
what's that gonna look like? Okay. Well,
well, she's the next one. Or do we want to kind of
yeah.
wrap up more? Like Jonah, do you have
Yeah.
anything that
Anything
you want to?
else we want to say about Juliana?
I think you guys have covered it. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I felt like let's throw it back to the little Golden Bachelorette. After Chalk's hometown, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, Joan and Chalk, 100%.
Yeah.
Granted, I also picked that from the first one-on-one dates, so
Nice.
maybe it was just some
Hmm.
confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Um, but I agree. I think probably a stronger connection with Latia, but maybe a stronger physical connection with Juliana. Like they're
Mhm.
both, I mean,
Yeah.
Latia's also stunning, but I think he and Juliana have a really strong physical connection,
Yeah.
And I
which
just
might
think
outweigh.
their like lifestyle would be more
Right.
aligned. Like, I
Well,
mean,
that's a whole nother
it's a
thing.
huge
That's like, yeah.
thing, right? And then like her big family, like you just know. I mean, I know that with Zoe, he was saying like, "Oh, we both come from the same background. Like, I'm not scared that she's not close with her family. I'm not close, I don't have like a huge family either." But I think that he does kind of want that. Like, family's super
Oh,
important to
for
him.
sure.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
think
and
Juliana has that.
and
Mhm.
they both have that, right? Like they both have that big family that you could be
Yeah.
close to, but
Yeah.
I could picture Grant in Boston a lot more than I could picture Grant in Wyoming, right? Like,
Right.
Or Utah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, or
So
Utah or
true.
wherever.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Like,
Grandma Candy's house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love
I know,
that.
Grandma Candy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, really, Juliana, like the family part of the night went so well. Like her dad loved him. I mean, they were just worried that she might be like collateral damage, but that's the
Mhm.
fear for everyone. I think in the end, he presented so mature to her dad, made him feel really comfortable. And I think that's just like the goal.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is for the dad to feel like you don't know what you're doing. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So that
And
was
at
good.
the end, he told her that he's falling for her. He didn't say falling in love, which I'm going to be very particular about what he says to each of these women.
Yes.
We are also very particular about that running a fantasy gaming company for The
Yeah.
Bachelor. You do not get points if they say I'm falling for, but if he says I'm
Ooh.
falling in love with, that is points. So we're right
Okay.
there with you.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely need to talk more about how your fantasy leagues and stuff work. That's so interesting. But
Yeah.
that's good though, because that really shows people like, who really gets it and who's not quite there.
Totally.
There's a
Cool.
big difference.
Hmm.
hmm So he ends it like we said. He's telling Juliana that he's falling for her, and she is falling for him. And they end it very nicely. It's very sweet. It's lovely. It was a great date, like you were saying, Julia. Like it was just a great date. Like it was
Yeah.
just really, or hometown. It was the best
Yeah.
hometown. It really was.
Yeah.
And then we go on to Zoe.
Zoe.
Okay, so can I say
Love
I
Zoe.
have a soft
Yeah.
spot for her, and I really like her, but it is just, I feel like almost like Grant, like he said, he can understand her background and the complication of her family, like his family. And I think he also connects with her on some other levels based on like, their background and everything and just what she described in one of the episodes growing up where she did. But like, and I think he's also really attracted to her too, but I feel like he wants it to work, but
Yeah.
it's not there. Like,
I totally feel that.
just and he
She's
respects
like
No.
her. It's
perfect on
just
paper,
yes, she's
but
perfect
like
on
the
paper for him.
real vibe, and he wants it to work. He's literally grasping at straws to make it work.
Yeah.
Like when her friend asked him, why didn't you like,
Or
how do you have
sister.
feelings?
Or
Oh,
was it
yes, her sister. Like, how do you have these strong feelings if you never had a one-on-one date? And he was like, well, we just had a great talk and like that sealed the deal for me. I'm like, is
Yeah,
that
I
what we're
don't get
doing?
I also don't get that because he said that as like, oh, I didn't need a one-on-one because I felt stronger. But I feel like it's more about if you want a one-on-one, right? Like, shouldn't you
Yeah.
want to spend time with the people that you
Yeah.
have fun with and that you want to get to know more? She's been the
Totally.
confusing one for me since the beginning. When Serafina didn't get a rose, I was like, wait, what? Like,
I know.
I've
Yeah.
been confused since then. And then her hometown date, honestly, like, yes, she's in New York. So I think that that's for Grant. He wants to live in the city. He's clearly made it clear
Yeah.
that he's a city boy. And so I think he was excited to get to New York. And then she hits him with a photo shoot. And it was just like, oh boy, here we
Oh my
go.
God. And it was such a long photo shoot.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was
like
like a work
so many
day.
outfit changes and like lingering looks. And I was like, even I'm like cringe. I'm sorry. I really like Zoe, but like I personally would not have liked that date. I would have
Well,
been so
yeah.
uncomfortable.
I mean, it's also like take your boyfriend to work day is like a
Mm-hmm.
weird thing. She's like, I feel in my element at my job. Like, I cannot imagine taking a boy to my job on my date. Like, I
Right.
don't know. It just doesn't, it was just weird. I don't know. Can't support
Oh,
Putting
it.
makeup on
I'm
him.
for sure this summer going to be bringing people to Wrigley Field, bringing dates to Wrigley Field to watch me sling beer and hot dogs. That is,
That is actually fun for them, though.
That sounds
That's
fun.
Different.
Yeah.
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 the equivalent of this is you making that same girl carry your 150-pound thing up the stairs and down and yell hot dogs for like 2 hours and be like,
Debatably more fun than
what?
than this date anyway.
Yeah, truly.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a miss for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, he was a very good sport about it,
He was.
thankfully, because like
hmm
I really wanted it to go well just because I feel like she's a really sensitive girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has this like strong exterior, like really like, she's always like perfect posture, prim and proper. And like I commend her for that, but like this is the type of situation where you'd want to start seeing her like peel those layers and like kind of really get to know him. And I feel like she kind of has enough, but like I don't feel like the connection, like what you were saying, it's
Well,
quite
it's weird because, like,
there.
to that point, I haven't seen their super deep connection, but I also can't think of a time that we saw them having fun. Like, can you
Right.
think of a time throughout? I mean, granted, they didn't have a one-on-one, but like, I can't think of a time this whole season where just like being silly and having fun together. And I think
Yeah.
some of that, like, Zoe is a more serious person, but that is an important part of the relationship and like the journey and the whether we can have fun together too. And I just haven't seen that level of like, we're enjoying this and being together from them.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I wonder if I'm hoping, and I'm always like this just because I remember like last season with Joey's season with Rachel. I feel like we didn't see so much of what she and him shared, but I'm just hoping maybe we just haven't seen it. They didn't show it because I feel like this man can't be that. I'm trying to look for a good word. Like, there's got to be a reason, right? Why she's there.
Right. I mean,
I have a take. I got a
Ooh,
take.
let's hear it.
Okay. I don't want to minimize their connection, but is there any chance that he actually has felt stronger about other women? And because he has such a clear top two, he doesn't want to make it more complicated for himself, and he cuts them
Mm.
earlier, knowing that him and Zoe have no chance.
That is a
Honestly,
Ooh.
that's a good take. I kind of
Yes.
felt that with Carolina. It's almost like she's feeling too much, so maybe I should cut her. I don't know, but that's a good point.
I think
Yeah.
he's so sure who his top two are that it's
Yes.
Yeah.
easier to let people go sooner. But again,
Yeah.
I don't want to minimize like him and Zoe's connection.
Well, to
That's
that point, he did have a one-on-one with the other women and was able to directly compare the date to his top two. Whereas since he hasn't had a one-on-one with Zoe, he's not able to do that. So it's like less opportunity for a like, nope, this isn't the person. So she just
Mm.
kind of keeps dotting
Go.
along.
Yeah,
She
she's
can't
like
mess it
flying
up
under the
because she hasn't
radar
had
a
a one-on-one.
little.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
true. And I feel as though I read this somewhere, I heard this somewhere, that sometimes the lead will do that in a season if they feel like, well, I already know these top two,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
you're
they
saying,
have to
Jonah,
keep
but like they need to
doing
have a
it.
fourth and a third and a fourth person. So it's kind of like,
right.
I don't really care who it is. Because I
Yeah.
mean, it's not going to affect who my
Yeah.
top two are. And it kind of feels like that too. But then it's also like, but don't do that to her because
Yeah.
she
Like,
likes you. She doesn't love him, but she likes him. And I feel as though even when he was talking to her sister and the sister was, asking him about like his
oh, that
feelings
made
for
me
her,
so upset.
and
Like
he's
hearing
like,
all that.
I really like her. You really like her at this point, but you're falling for another woman and falling in love with
Yeah.
another. So
There's the
obviously it's not
language.
Zoe.
Yeah,
Zero
that's
points
the
for
show
falling
though.
in
I
love
know.
with you. Um,
Yeah.
yes, and I feel like I had something else to say about it. Well,
And I mean, I think that the
I've
thing is
lost
too
it.
with Zoe, like I hate that this is the case, but like you come back, like yes, the whole model date happens, but then you come back to the family thing. And again, like she has an unconventional family situation. And as much as Grant has said, and even when his sister or her sister asked, like he's reassured that that's fine, he doesn't care, it's not an issue. Like this man has said over and over that what he wants is a like loving family and a family that's been together and has these like things for him to look up to and all of this. And so I do think that that's going to like play into his decision and his factor. And yes, he got to meet
Yeah.
them, but at the same time, like it's not what he's dreamed of.
I agree because I mean, I low key think that's kind of why he cut Dina over Zoe
Oh,
because like her family doesn't accept them
100%.
at all. So it's like clearly it means something to him. And then when it comes down to it, like that is a factor. Now, I do remember what I was going to say earlier, and it was that like part of me feels like, okay, yes, he has to have four girls for hometowns. That's the rule, that's the sequence of events. But who was it? That one bachelorette who like told everyone to leave and only did the hometown with the one guy and only did the final. Like there was one season where somebody just did one. It was a long time ago. Ugh, I'm gonna look it up while we talk. But like there, there's wiggle room with this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
if you really wanted to just like be true to his heart, I think he
Mhm.
could have let Zoe go home last week,
Well, look at Claire Crawley, right? On her season, and then Tasia came in and
True.
had a
True.
season.
that
Good
was
So
point.
you
You
have
would
a
never let
point.
in here.
You have a
Yeah.
point. He could have just
That
been
was
like,
during
you know
COVID. That
what?
was
It's just
crazy.
these two. Forget the other ones. I don't need it.
I don't know though.
Yeah.
At the
Didn't
same time, like I think that like in a show like even Love is Blind, where they propose like early and they're like, no, we know, let's do it. Like I feel like you're missing out on opportunity to get to know someone even more before you make arguably, one of the biggest decisions of your life. So I
Yeah.
kind of get wanting to like test out and keep things going as long as possible. But yeah, I mean the it was just so different. Like the Latia Juliana dates were so on another level than the other two that it was almost like hard to watch. It was like, what is the
Yeah.
point of this date
That's sad.
for Dina
No.
and Zoe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I
so
know it
sad
honestly
to see it.
by Dina's, it was hard to watch. I was
It was
like,
so
ugh,
sad. It was like, and I
it was
understand
sad.
she's saying that her dad is a pastor of a church, right? And she has 11 siblings. And at first I was like, so none of those adult siblings was like, you know what? I'm gonna go support my sister. But then
Well,
I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know their family dynamic. It could be he's the patriarch, and it's like, no, none of
well,
us
they
are supporting.
say in the episode, she says specifically something like, my siblings like got together and decided that they like wouldn't come. So it's like,
Yeah.
I almost imagine them all being like, no, we're a
Seems like a
unified front.
toxic family.
Which, yeah, I would literally never forgive my siblings.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
Oh
so
my
what?
messed
God.
up.
On TV?
You need
Like,
your like at
play
least one of them.
along.
Like,
Yeah.
could they not have sent a representative and been like, "Hey, we're not all
Mhm.
gonna go, but you can
Right.
go." Like the
Right.
one
Or like the
person.
one she's closest to, like her
Yes.
closest sister that doesn't like show up for her and be like, hey, you know why dad's like not cool with this, but like we love
Yeah.
you and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
That
a
would've been
messenger,
nice.
even where it's like, okay, I met him. Here,
And
this is what I got, you know,
and
like
even she
report back to the
said,
family. And a
like,
deacon, like, he should be more accepting and open.
well, I mean, it can go
I don't know
either
how
way,
that works,
right?
but I'd hope
But
so.
even like she said, I feel like I don't remember when she said this. It may have been towards the end of the episode when all four women were sitting together just before the rose ceremony. But she said something like it was like it's like she insinuated it was a last minute decision that her
Yeah.
family was like, no, I'm not gonna show. And that's even worse because it's like she's thinking, my family is gonna show up. I'm gonna show them
Yeah.
Chicago, and then it's like, no. None of them are gonna show up, but you have your friends, thank God. But like you have your
Yeah.
friends.
She had a lot of friends.
Yeah, a ton of friends, but it was like still kind of sad. I was like,
Yeah.
this is not.
I mean, I told this to Jonah, and I feel like this is kind of like the clearest indication that she never went on this show expecting to actually make it to the end. Like,
True.
just based on like the friends and Jack's pumpkin pop up, and like I think that she probably was like, Dad, don't worry about it. I'm going on the show. Like,
You won't have to do
she's
anything.
she's like really cool. She's clearly really cool. She clearly is like very pretty. She's gonna, be a cool vibe on the show, which she has been all
Mhm.
season.
Mhm.
And then she got to hometowns and had to call her family and was like, oh, by the way, you have to do this thing. And they were like, no, you like, we never agreed to that.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it was last minute in that they were like always down. I get the
Yeah.
impression that it was a last minute call because she made it to hometowns and then they were like, wait, no, definitely not.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Anyways,
So
Also,
should we?
Yeah.
the
We
Jack's
kinda-
pumpkin patch
Yeah.
to be the representative of Chicago.
Dude.
Come on.
We were so mad about that. Jonah and I are both live in
Chicago's
Chicago.
cool.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, we
that's our
lived there. I
hometown.
grew up there.
So it's like of all the places in Chicago, they spent all day. Like they got there when the sun was bright and up, and then the sun was very down, and they just sat around the pumpkin patch.
It just felt like another group date. Like, okay.
Yes, it did. With all our friends too.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, he got more
Yeah.
girls now. I mean, just kidding. Obviously, he wouldn't do that, but like, it just felt like, give me something different, like something a little, I don't know.
It was
But
just
yeah,
like,
I
what
mean,
are we doing? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? It was clearly like, we just need some cool background stuff for them to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it didn't.
So it didn't show like really anything about her. I don't feel like I learned
No.
anything else about her. It was nice seeing her friends, but
Yeah.
that was it. Like I don't.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
could tell she was sad the whole time,
Yeah.
like she wasn't herself. She wasn't
Energy
having
was down.
fun. Like she was just, even from the second she saw him on the Riverwalk, she was so sad. And that's why I think it's such a bummer of her
Such a
family to
bummer.
just like, and she obviously didn't get the rose. So then it's like
Yeah.
completely their fault.
But might be a blessing in disguise for her because she has no shot
Fair.
anyway. So getting
Exactly.
cut
In the
before
end.
fantasy suites is probably a blessing.
Yeah.
They're
she
gonna
kinda
watch this
said
back
that, too.
together and be like,
Yeah.
"You're welcome. We told you.
Yeah.
It wasn't you."
I feel
Mm.
like she kind of talked about that a little bit when she didn't get the rose and she was leaving and she was in the limo. I feel as though she was so level-headed about it. And she was
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's better to leave now than to get more invested and have
Totally.
your heart broken. So I loved how she handled that too. It wasn't like she was like, you're gonna regret this, or she just didn't give him the cold shoulder. She was just like, just
She's been a
wasn't.
She was
cool girl
classy all
though, the whole
season.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she had a great season, great run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
like
can
the
see her on
drama with
Paradise.
Carolina is just fueling her future with Bachelor Nation.
Yeah.
Like she's
Oh.
gonna be good.
Yeah.
Everyone
Both
rooted
of
for
them,
her. Yeah, they'll be
easy
on
ticket to
Paradise.
Paradise.
We'll see them
Yeah,
at the
no
women's
question.
tell-all. It'll be fun. She'll
Awesome.
have her hot seat minute probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most likely, yeah. But yeah, okay. So should we move on to Latia?
Latia, of
We
course.
Wait,
shall.
we totally went out of order, didn't we?
We did. But you know
Yeah, but that's okay.
what? Let's get
It
down to
happens.
it.
Yes, Latia. All right.
Got to end on a high note.
Yes,
Yeah.
as they should have probably in the sequencing,
So
right?
they go to Wyoming, even though she lives in Utah, but she said her family gets together and they used to get together at Grandma Candy's. And even though that was not Grandma Candy's home, she said that the family comes together in Star Valley and it was just this beautiful, lovely area, which is nice and everything. And and then they do what the horseback riding, which is all romantic. The sun is out. Like
Mhm.
it's just this
Oh,
beautiful, lovely time. He reiterates he's a city boy, but he will be country with Latia.
country boy.
There's no way.
That's what he says. That's what he said. That's what he yeah, and they
He
go and
wants
they
it to work so
he
bad.
wants it so bad with
He
her.
loves,
Like he wants
I
it with
think,
Zoe, but with Latia, he's like, God, why am I not Mormon? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why am I not cowboy? Like,
Why am
I
I not
think, I
obsessed?
think she crushed him when she told him that last week. Like when she finally told
Yeah.
him that one,
mhm.
like way too late, in my
Yes.
opinion,
Yeah.
like way too late. I was
Yes.
shocked when she said that, but I
Mhm.
felt like you saw him just, I think up to that point, he was like, this is it. And she
Yeah.
said that, and he just kind of like collapses in on himself. And I think the whole date, he was just thinking of all the ways that it's not going to work. And every time he talks to her, he's like, you're perfect and I love you and I want you to be my person. And then he would literally look around at the like 50 people playing tug of war in the backyard and just be like, I wrote the song Party Girls. I don't know if you guys know. Like, there's just
For
no way that
real.
there's no way that that man is moving to, it doesn't matter, Utah and
Yeah.
becoming a Mormon. Like, it's just never
No.
happening in a million years.
And
Well,
the family kept making it seem where it's like, oh, like we're accepting and like,
yeah.
whatever, like, oh, you can bring anyone in. It's like, okay, but you're gonna make him become Mormon. Like
Well,
that's part of the
well,
no. I mean,
the dad did say, and I want to give
yeah,
him
he
the
did
benefit
hint
of the
at it a
doubt.
little,
The
right? Yeah.
stepdad did say, like, it's okay with us that you're not, and that, however, it's important to his stepdaughter that she raises her children in the LDS faith. So I don't
Mm,
know, even if he doesn't go and get baptized in the church and everything, he would be going, what, with the family to their Sunday churches. That he would be going to these meetings. He would be in that world like you're saying. And in Utah, it's very different. Okay? Like it
yeah.
and not like in a bad way. It's just if you're not used to that type of environment, it's a culture shock. And plus, he said
Yeah.
he didn't grow up with anyone who was LDS.
Yep.
He wasn't very sure what that entailed. So it was just kind of like, man, like this is like you said, she should have mentioned it earlier. She really should have, because this religion is not like I'm Catholic, but I don't practice. It's not like
Yeah.
that. It's like
Well,
it's
that's my question. I
hardcore.
feel like we talked about it a lot last week, but I don't think I really asked you, like, did you know any like mixed religion couples while you lived? So Arena did live in Utah for a
Yeah.
while. So she
Yeah.
Oh,
knows a
Yeah,
lot
for a
about this
year.
religion. So
Yeah.
like, did you know any couples that were
Um,
like Mormon and not Mormon?
so no, I didn't. I mean, one of the couples that I knew, so one of my best friends is LDS, and then another best friend of mine is non-practicing, but she grew up in the church. And now she's married and her husband's Catholic. So like, so there's that, but she doesn't practice anymore. But the only couple I knew of that was close to that was where actually the woman had been a nun and then she decided to leave the church and
Oh
she
wow.
became LDS and she met her husband shortly after, I think, and now they're married and they have a great marriage. So,
Wow, for some
but
reason that makes so much sense to me though.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense, but that is, yeah, that's very unique.
yeah, but not a mixed
But it's not
religion
common,
place. Yeah.
right?
It's I don't
Yeah.
even know. I don't know if I'm sure it's happened, but yeah. I don't it's so hard to do that though. It's just so
Yeah. And I think it'd be different if it was like even something like a Jewish and Christian, like, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I just feel like there's just so
remember the
many,
tribe.
there's just so many lifestyle rules
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
LDS faith that make it difficult that like Grant said, he's like, my ears are pierced. I have tattoos. I like to
Yeah.
drink like occasionally.
He says,
And
I
like
like
none
to
of
have fun sometimes.
I
yeah, I know. I was like,
Oh,
okay, well, I think they have
quit
fun too.
playing.
Yeah.
Get ready to learn Joseph Smith, buddy.
Oh my
Oh,
That's going to
yeah.
be his
This
fun
next.
activities if they end up together.
Yeah, it'll be
And
his next
obviously,
rap.
one thing that I thought was so funny, like obviously Latia is not gonna sleep with Grant in the fantasy suite,
Yeah.
but I thought it was so funny when she was talking to her mom and she's like, well, I'm obviously not going to sleep with him. And her mom goes, well, I think you should keep an open mind.
I know.
And
What
I was
was that? I
Like,
was
like,
like,
girl, what are you saying?
what did she say? Yeah. I was like,
Did
It's
did
she
awesome.
she
just tell you to lose your virginity
Yeah,
on a
wait,
TV
what?
show?
she's
Okay.
like, do you want it or not, Latia? Like, do you want it or
mom-
not?
Maybe
you
like
win?
because you know
Do you
they
want
get
that
married
rose?
early usually and they have kids early. Maybe the mom's like, look, you're 31.
She's 31.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. No, that's I don't want to.
Oh no, for real. Like I think we all agree she won't do that. But it was
No.
funny. I did catch
It
that
was
with
so
mom, and I
funny.
literally was like, she can't be saying that, but like kind of
Sounded
sounded
like
like it.
It
Yeah. Yeah. She's progressive.
Get that rose,
And
you
some
know?
are actually
Yeah.
too. There are some LDS that don't adhere to strict lifestyle rules and things. So it also depends,
They might
on
have
the person.
secret lives. I don't know.
Well,
Ooh.
maybe not that extreme. That's like
Is
that's
there?
like
Well, no, there's probably not a bracketology for that show. That's different, right? No, that's not
Unfortunately,
really a
not yet.
competition.
not
Yeah,
yet. But soon, guys, right? We're
Eventually, yeah,
think it through. Yeah,
it's on our roadmap of popular shows to add. We've got some games that we can adapt to non-competition shows. So stay
Yeah.
tuned.
cool. Good to know.
Thanks.
But yeah, that was so funny when she said that. Let's
Yeah,
see what
it
else.
was. I'm glad you brought that up
I-
because that's something
yeah.
I was like, wait, what? What'd she say? But yeah, it just I just don't see how and I don't know. Like I'm not in that I wasn't in this relationship. I wasn't in whatever happens in the overnights, but
Yeah,
I just don't see how that wouldn't be such a big deal or a deal
it's
breaker
it's
for
kind
them
of
or
giving like
religion.
the Peter and Maddie dynamic where
Yeah.
she was so religious and like, I mean, she left, right? And then she came back. What did she left?
Yeah, it was
Because she
dramatic.
didn't, yeah, because she didn't want him to like sleep with anybody.
It's kind
I
of
don't know.
It's very Clayton and Susie coded also.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like it's just when you get down to the end, it's like people can't really cope with it anymore. Like so often people leave or, like that's happened. I mean, who had the actual final two? Jen did, I guess, but she told that guy to leave. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since we've really had like a bona fide final two at the end.
Well, Kelsey and Daisy were very much, I feel like, the
Yeah.
final two, and they decided that they weren't.
Yeah,
the
but
final
like
two.
Daisy
they
like
flipped
spoke. Yeah, that's yeah,
Right.
but it's like it's like, ooh, who's gonna be asked? I think
Yeah.
maybe it was Rachel Recchia and Gabby's season. Rachel Recchia, like her.
What about
I don't know.
who was Zach's final two? It's Katie and who? Gabby? No.
Gabby. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was Gabby because he slept with her.
Oh yeah, that was a whole thing,
See,
right?
it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's always a
We're
thing.
at that point.
I feel like everyone's always like, why don't they just get rid of fantasy suites because it always causes drama? And I'm like, do you understand what they're trying to produce, right? Like that is
That's the
literally the point.
Yeah. They're like,
Because I do feel like
perfect.
right, it always throws a wrench in the plan. And it's interesting because like I do think that there are very two firm camps that are kind of just like, if someone means enough to you, like why do you have to sleep with the other people? Like why can't you just all like take the time and like have an intimate like night together? But then I also get like the perspective of the lead who's like, hey, this is going to be my future person. And like, I want to see if this works. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a right answer, but I think it's going to become pretty dramatic in 2 weeks when we see what happens. And Latia's clearly made it clear how she's going to feel about it. And I have a feeling that's not how Juliana and Zoe are going to feel about it. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think Juliana's going to be a little more understanding about the situation and the fact that, well, this is the way the show is, and but I see where Latia's coming from, especially with her background. But that would be asking a lot for the lead to be like, I'm only gonna sleep with one person or no one.
And it's it kind of sucks for the other girls too that want to, like
Mhm.
it matters for Juliana to have that experience too, or for Zoe to have that experience too. Like if that's something
Yeah.
that's important to them, I don't know that it should be a unilateral decision from the bachelor's
It's true.
perspective, like the lead's perspective either.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They should just honestly like have that night and not talk about it. Just don't talk
Right?
about it, Just
Never happened.
Yeah.
do what you do.
Well, that's what they're
Right.
supposed to
That's what
do.
they're supposed to do.
But when they come in at the next morning and they come into wherever they're staying and people are always speculating like, "Oh, do you think they did? Like did you the bed sheets were ruffled? Like it was like his hair was messy." And it's kind of like, you know
Yeah.
what? I don't really want to
Morning
know.
shock.
None of my business. Just whoever they end up with is who
Oh,
they end up with.
I always like the drama, and this is so bad because I know it's like awful for them going through it, but it's always interesting, like when the next morning, like energy shifted, they're not into each other. Someone got the ick, like it's just not going
Totally.
well anymore. Like part of
Yeah.
me is
And you
like,
can
is that
feel
gonna
it.
happen? Yeah. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of like, maybe that'll happen at some point, but like I hope not. But I don't know. It's the drama. That's why we're here. We like
Why
the
we're here.
drama,
It makes it
and
entertaining. It's sad it's
yeah.
their lives, but they know going on the show. I'm sorry,
They know
like
what
they
they're
do,
signing up for.
right?
Honestly, they can wipe their tears with the influencer money they're
That's
Right?
buying. Guys,
Yeah.
they'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
But mhm.
oh, I was just gonna say, and then like when the girls have to get together before the rose ceremony after the dates to talk about the dates with each
So
other, I'm
weird.
just like, this is so awkward.
Yeah,
So weird.
brutal. Yeah, I felt bad for Dina and kind of Zoe because it's like they were listening to like Juliana's date and like Latia's date, and they were just like, well, my family didn't show up,
Dana
and
looked
it's
like she was
just,
gonna
Yeah.
cry when
I
they were talking.
know.
Like her eyes were kind of like a
Ugh,
little teary. I felt
yeah.
really bad for her.
She
But
really
she didn't even get a
deserved
chance,
more. I
Yeah.
wrote in my notes, it's like, I really feel like her family was treating her like a child, where it's like, oh, like,
Mhm.
we're not going to come. It's like, we don't approve. And it's like, your girl's like in her mid 30s, like, just come, like, this
Yeah.
is her
Right.
thing. You need to be
And
there. And
just come and be a jerk like other families do.
yeah,
If it's that
right,
important to you
scare
to be like, we
him.
don't approve of this, like whatever.
Yes.
Like come and tell him that. But to not
Or
show
meet
up, I think it's
meet him not on camera.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Even
Like
totally.
that.
who did that recently? Oh, that was Love is Blind,
Love
right?
is Blind is more. It's more common than
Totally.
Love is Blind, but still,
Yeah.
like,
That's a great idea. Like
yeah.
Yeah. I
Either
mean,
way,
there
they
should just,
saved her.
yeah.
They saved her. It
Yeah.
all worked out.
It was never
right.
it was never gonna work
Hunky
out. It was
dory.
not the deal breaker. It was not the deal
Yeah.
breaker.
No.
Yeah.
It was an easy out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess now the rose ceremony,
Yeah.
and we've already talked about it a million times. Dina went home, and I think we kind of felt it. I wrote, I knew it. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
The
No
1-2 was
surprises.
obvious. The
Yeah.
the Latia Juliana, and then
I would have given my first and second roses to Juliana and Latia, and my third rose to Latia's grandpa. I would die for that man.
Oh my God. He was so
lovely.
He was
sweet.
adorable.
He was. He
lovely.
was.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
I like
gosh.
how he answered or what when he was talking to her, when he was like, well, basically if he's the one for you, I'm happy for you. It's not like he said, I know he's the one. He was
Mhm.
like, if you feel like he is, I'm
Smart.
happy
They were
for
so
you.
sweet.
Wise man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But
Yeah. So we're down
yeah,
to 3. It's kind of
down to
wild.
3.
Yeah.
I mean, again, our predictions, it's like we think it's Juliana. You guys think, or Kaitlyn, you said you think it's Latia. Do you agree,
I picked
Jonah?
Latia as my
Oh,
first impression rose at the very beginning of the season.
that's
She's my winner in
crazy.
my bracket, but
Yeah.
I feel like in episode 1 they gave her the winner edit. Like the first impression episode, she was just so beautiful. Like I think she's absolutely stunning, but
She is.
she just their energy was perfect. I didn't really catch the Juliana vibe until like their one-on-one, and then I was like, oh, okay, this
Yeah.
is it. And honestly, I was still very torn. I still thought I had a good winner pick for Latia until the Mormon bomb dropped. That was when I was like, nope,
Mhm.
never, not going to happen. Before that, I was Latia all the way.
Mhm.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
some reason,
Yeah.
I feel like I did sense something on the first night with her and with Juliana and
Yeah.
Grant. Like I was like, oh, like they have really good chemistry. But I also thought that he had really good chemistry with that girl. What was her name? It was like a Alicia.
Alicia. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
That's my shock of the season was
I
I
Alicia going home
know.
know.
night
We had
two.
her going farther.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Shock of the season.
that's
I thought she was
pour
going to be
one out
top
for
four.
Alicia.
Yeah, she got robbed.
Yeah.
She got robbed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was weird. Like something must have happened. He got the ick and they didn't show it, which by
Yeah.
the way, we found out how Alex got the ick. Did
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
all see that? Alex apparently
No.
got the ick from the mall date and she didn't like when he played the piano.
And
So that was
serenaded her.
early on.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the makeshift song.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
had
It's
a
still stuck in
makeshift.
my head. I'm sitting there like, I love you
Da, da,
and I
da.
need you and I'm never gonna let you go. I was
Oh
looking, I was like,
wow.
has he released this yet?
Right.
That would have,
Just on the
if I was in
spot.
that mall, I would be like, yeah, please sign me up for the
I'm
Zoe bridal
ready.
photo shoot with you. Yeah, literally.
Well, she didn't like it. And
Yeah.
she said it wasn't really him. She just doesn't like people who like whip out the guitar and sing at parties. She just
Mhm.
doesn't like that like random performance thing. But I was like, all right, or you just don't like him and that's okay. But she stayed on a lot longer. Like if I got the ick that early, I mean, I would have I mean, I don't know. Why was she there for so long? Makes me wonder.
Maybe she was just so like so wrapped up in it because they're like
Yeah,
in this bubble and they have like no connection to the outside world usually. And she was
that's
just
true.
hearing all these other stories and was like, you know what? Yeah, he gave me the ick, but maybe not. Maybe I just didn't
Yeah,
really get
I'll
it, you know?
unick it. Yeah.
I didn't get why it's so important. So
But yeah, that was kind of fun to hear.
funny.
I mean,
That
I
was
was just
funny.
like, wow. Yeah. I mean, we thought that it was cute. So
It was cute,
Yeah.
but then it
I
was
thought
she
they
like,
liked
looked
it.
so weird together. I couldn't get over it. I kept telling Jonah, I thought she looked like his teenage daughter every time they were
I'm
together. Like
sorry.
something about them,
That's
they like
funny.
look so similar and she's
They
so tiny and he's so
do.
tall. And like holding hands, it literally looked to me like his teenage daughter that they were like shopping at the mall. Like the cutest, but zero romantic vibes to the point where
Yeah.
I had the ick. So
You had the ick.
the
Yeah.
singing was cool with me, but we lost it. We got the ick at the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so now, we're excited for Fantasy Suite. So like what can we predict though? Like what would you
I have a
guys
take.
think? Yeah, what do you think?
So I think that, we've seen the preview the entire time of Grant literally being up until the last minute. He doesn't know who he's going to pick.
Yeah.
And that we've alluded to it during this discussion. If he's so torn because I think Latia is the match for him, but the
Mhm.
religion thing is what is throwing an enormous wrench in it. And he's deciding, like, is it worth it? Can I make a life
Mhm.
in that faith? And I think that's why he's so torn. If Juliana was Mormon and Latia was not, I think that it would be kind of a no-brainer. But
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
my take.
That's a good
Yep.
one. I can see that. Because really, that is a huge,
Yeah.
like, I don't want to say red flag, but like that's minus points for her. Because
Yeah.
that's really hard. I mean, I would imagine it would be very
It's
hard to
tough.
like enter a religion, any religion really.
Yeah.
Uh,
To make that commitment that that's what you're going to do and then raise your children in that faith because what if it doesn't work out and you get divorced? So your kids are in that faith, you still have to keep up with it even if you're not in that marriage anymore.
mhm.
And just also it's going to be a different with that particular religion and some others obviously lifestyle. It's your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's more than just going to church or going wherever. It's the lifestyle you have.
And culturally too, like he's like he said over and over, like a city boy. Like he wants to be like there's like he just has so much more cultural everything. Like like this
Mhm.
man wants to be a rapper, like
Yeah,
a famous
Yeah.
singer rapper.
totally.
Like
He's
he's
like
like
plugging his songs.
he really does, and like he's good, and he's talented, and he wants to be in that like life. So unless he can convince Latia to move to LA or New York and like be in his music videos. Like I'm just not seeing, like I just don't think there's a lifestyle compatibility as
Yeah.
wonderful as she is.
Yeah.
And so I think he's gonna pick Juliana, and I think they're gonna be really happy. Like I think that they're a good
Totally.
match. I think it'll
Yeah.
give them more time outside. I could see them honestly having a very social media presence similar to Joey and
Yeah, Joey and
Kelsey, where
Kelsey,
they're
yeah.
bopping around doing all the fun stuff, super cute on the sideline of the football game. Like I think that their lifestyles are going to fit, and
Yeah.
he's going to get the family thing that he needs.
Yeah. It just
I
makes
don't think
more
he's giving,
sense.
I don't think he's getting the like level of having kids pressure from Juliana.
Yeah.
And like, you got to capitalize on those 2 or 3 years after you're the bachelor, you know, like you see Joey doing it right now. Like this is the time to solidify your career. And so like, I think Latia's family being like, and she needs babies now. And the clock's ticking on those 8 kids we're expecting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a great fit for him either.
Mhm.
So I'm predicting a Juliana ring, and I think they're going to be happy.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's not gonna be that thing where like he picks her and then he breaks up and is like, it should be a Latia. Like
No.
I don't think it. I think if anything, maybe he picks Latia and then they sadly break up, you know, because I just don't think it's sustainable. But I'm hoping it's Juliana. I just think it makes sense, you know.
I think it's Juliana.
I think you've got a first impression bracket winner on your hands, Julia. I think you made a good pick to start. That's what my gut says now.
So glad. This is exciting, guys. Again, bracketology.tv is their handle. This is fun. Yeah, we were talking about our points earlier, and we're at 102 points out of 124, which is pretty good. I'm thinking now. We have our
Solid.
Yeah, we have the 2 out of 3. We thought Alex would be our top 3 in there. Juliana, Latia,
Oh, did we
and
put her
Alex.
top 3? I thought we put Zoe in the
Yeah.
top 3. It was
No,
Alex?
she was our top 4.
Oh.
Zoe was in our top 4. So we were
Oh,
very
well,
close.
whatever.
Honestly,
we were close. Yeah.
well, we've talked about it where like Dina was the dark horse for us. Like we did
Yeah.
not think she would come through.
Yeah.
We saw it with Carolina. We saw it with, you know, Zoe enough. But I thought Beverly would go really far.
Yeah, you were a huge fan.
And maybe she would have.
She might have
her health thing.
Minus
Yeah.
the
But yeah,
appendicitis. Yeah.
but
Shout out her
honestly,
appendix.
like, yeah.
I said shout out to her appendix.
I know. Yes, I hope it's doing well.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. I just realized this, Jonah. I just looked at advanced scores for the whole season, and Juliana and Latia have the exact same number of fantasy points for the season.
Oh,
Through
Oh, that's
all-
crazy, actually.
Throughout, like down to the exact point, they both had 168 total fantasy points for the season going
Wow.
into next week. Isn't that kind of crazy?
That is crazy. So it means that a lot of people probably picked up on their connections.
Zoe's in third place with 128 points. So
wow.
Yeah, the people that are doing well in our official league, and in this season we've got over 33,000 people playing for all site wide on The Bachelor. Not all in the official league, but for advanced, it looks like the people at the top have been picking a Juliana Latia combo for a while.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's so clear. I feel like it just
it is at this point for
obvious with
sure.
them. Yeah.
I've been saying that for weeks about Zoe, and here she's still hanging on by a thread. So I will never count her out. She's a magician.
What if she's the one? That would be so crazy.
If she's the one,
picked her.
I'm getting a tattoo of her name.
Oh my
She's
God.
like sitting at home
That would
somewhere
be
like, these fools
such a
don't even
surprise.
know. Like, it's me.
Yeah.
No.
You never
No.
know.
That would
I
be
don't know.
shocking, though.
That would be
I don't know.
shocking. I'd
That would
be
be
shooketh.
really shocking.
That would be the biggest shock of the franchise ever,
Yeah.
yeah.
For real.
Totally. It would
hands down.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're excited. Next week we're going to be joined by my friend for this 3rd time.
Yeah.
And she's actually like an astrology chick. She's a star sign girl, and she kind of always looks at the top 3 with us and talks about like what the signs and like the stars. We're not super into it, but like after her talks with us, we're like, ooh, like we gotta go out there and like figure it out.
She's
But
good.
so that's what we're doing next week. Yeah, so we'll be excited to be joined with Natalie next episode next week.
Yeah. And we're so happy you guys joined us
Yes,
and
thank
Yeah,
reached
it was a
you.
out
blast.
about Bracketology. And
So much
I
fun.
love a good bracket. It's like it's fun to do it for like March Madness, but to do it for like TV shows that you watch is such a great idea. That's just like, this is so cool. I like this. So that's
Yes,
so
I definitely
awesome.
want to look at what other shows you guys have.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a
I
whole
think
bunch going on right
yeah,
now too. We've got
yeah.
Survivor just started. The Amazing Race
Ooh,
starts this week. Next Level Chef, Top Chef, Love is Blind, The
cool.
Traitors finale's coming up.
Now,
American Idol soon.
do you guys like watch all those, or I mean, you can't have enough time in the day, right? But do you have like
Oh,
a few that you guys
unfortunately,
are
we
like,
have to
you
have
do?
enough time in the day.
Okay,
So,
so
I
you
mean,
do.
as I
That's
mentioned, it's
incredible.
just me and Kaitlyn full time. So I
Yeah.
watch. That's my responsibilities. I watch every show we do fantasy games for, and I
Wow.
track who says and does what during the episode for our
Amazing.
advanced game, and publish the scores after the episode
Okay.
airs in
There you
Pacific time. So
go.
every night. Tonight is Tuesday night is Deal or No Deal
Deal or no
Island.
deal.
So I'm gonna
All
go
right.
gonna go do some karaoke actually, and then come home and watch it
Very
on YouTube
fun.
TV and post the scores. But it's
It's a fun
it's a
life.
fun gig. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There
really
could definitely
cool.
be worse things than playing fantasy games for reality
Right.
TV. It's
Yeah.
a pretty solid gig we've got.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
really cool. And I
That's
love
really
how you guys are
awesome.
like self-made. It's really,
Mhm.
really inspiring
Thank you.
for
Yeah,
us. Yeah,
it's
that's
been
so
fun to
cool.
build.
Hmm.
Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining us. And just like if you want to share where people can find you, although most people probably know, but please tell us
Yeah,
how can people
where can
find
they
you?
find you?
It's at bracketology.tv on Instagram and on TikTok. And then our app in the App Store, you can play, search Bracketology TV. We're both on Android and iOS. You can play on our website, bracketology.tv. So yeah, anywhere really. We're trying to expand that presence all over the place.
And if you
Yeah.
want a show that we don't offer, please email us because we get requests all the time and we're constantly adding more shows. So Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, if we get enough interest,
You
maybe
never
we'll throw
know.
it up there.
Yeah. I'll probably be emailing you about Married at First Sight Australia.
Yes.
Someone
I need a
just
VPN
emailed
though.
us about that.
Really?
Someone
Ah,
just reached out
it's
about
Julia,
that.
it's
who's
a
this
close.
person?
I know it wasn't me, but
I
like
know.
now you got two people.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's my second like obsession for reality TV shows. If you want more information, we did do a overview of that show last summer. So if you
Yeah.
go back in our old episodes, we do kind of an overview about Married at First Sight Australia and why I love it so
Well,
much.
if we add fantasy games for it, I will be using that as a reference while I study
Please
how the show
do.
works.
Yes, you would start. You would need to start there because it's a lot. There's like
I can
33
imagine.
episodes a season. But
Oh no, maybe
anyways,
we're not going to add that soon.
stressful for you.
Not
Yeah.
until there's another me. If I could clone
Yeah.
myself, sure. But
Right. But yeah, thanks guys for joining us. This is so fun. And we're excited to see what the end result will be.
Yeah,
that we
see.
are. Thanks for
Good.
having us.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
guys. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Take care.
Bye.